plate's all cut out, the riv nuts are in, just so I can place the ECU over the top, check the alignment, which is pretty good, and I'll just place this up where I want it, mark 6 holes, drill the 6 holes, drilled the holes, slotted the rivets in, we'll pull them through and then we'll put the riv nuts in. All the riv nuts in and all the rivets in. Just finished up the bracket for the ECU, goes through the dash alright, doesn't look too bad, it's going to be nice and easy to plug in for tuning. Still got some wire tidying to do, but he's going to get the car back pretty soon and we'll get that rear section painted, and then it'll just be a case of getting the car back, finishing up. I doubt the dyno room will be ready by then, but we'll see. So this is an EG6 shell, standard non-seam welded, not stitch welded. It's got the 6-point roll cage in it. We've added a couple of additions, i.e. the gussets. It's also, the cage goes through to the turret tops on the front suspension, and obviously the stock cage, a stock 6-point, goes to the turrets on the rear suspension for stiffness. It's got fiberglass doors, Lexan windows or plastic windows, whatever you want to call them, all the way around, apart from the front screen, which is still glass. Most regs require that the front screen stays the same anyway. We've got stock rear brakes, and we've got a large kit on the front. So we've got Wilwood 4 pots on the front with larger discs. Obviously it hasn't moved for quite a while, so they're got a bit of surface corrosion. The front fenders have been, or front wings have been folded in slightly and blocked in on the inside to reduce air and remove some of the air that gets caught in the arch. Round the back we've got the exhaust system that goes up through the boot. We've got quite a bit of rear diffuser aero on this. It needs a rear wing to work properly. We have got some flat floor panels as well. In the boot we've got the exhaust system that runs above the diffuser, exits out through the bumper once that's installed. We've also got the swell pot, main fuel pump, and the lift pump is actually the original pressure pump, and then we've got the AccuSump in the middle in the blue. Obviously with hard cornering and half a tank of fuel, we're going to suffer from fuel starvation, so that's why the swell pot systems and the main fuel pumps are linked in. We've also got all new brake lines throughout the entire vehicle, all braided, run internally, which go right down the front. We've also got a aftermarket anti-roll bar and a rear anti-roll bar plate. It's got aftermarket lower arms, and we're running on BC coilovers for now. I'm not sure they'll be changed out, as cost bang for buck they're pretty good. They're not obviously, you know, highly adjustable and top end suspension, but they are fairly decent. Inside the car we're running a brake bias controller, obviously the custom dash and center console switch panel and the standard cluster. On the switch panel we've got ignition, push start, fuel pump, AccuSump, and then down the bottom we've got a fan override, internal heater, which there is a small matrix which I'll show you in a second, and the last one is for the internal light, so we should have one spare, and then he's got his charger points down the bottom, voltage readout, which are a bit of an eBay purchase, I think. Moving around to the other side, we've got the ECU mounted on the dash, which I quite like. We've got the fuse relay box, and just up there that is the new interior matrix heater. so it's a very tiny little rally one. It does put out quite a bit of heat, but I doubt it's going to go very far in a stripped out car. Power wise, we've got the Odyssey Extreme 680, and we obviously put that Anderson plug on there just to help out with starting in the pits. Engine bay wise, we've got the carbon / fiberglass bonnet. Under the engine bay we're running a B20 Z1 block. We're running a B16A1 cylinder head with slightly massaged ports, lightweight sodium filled valves. The cam is a custom built or custom made comp cam with retainers, double springs. It's a fairly big cam for this head, but this head was on a 1600, so it's not really designed for the 2 litre, but that's a different story. We've got a tubular manifold with nice initial long runners, aluminium radiator, oil cooler down there, all braided lines, remote oil filter. Obviously a lot of these lines are for the AccuSump and the oil system, braided fuel lines. It's running the stock ignition system, 370cc Nissan top feed injectors, and TWM 52mm throttle bodies, which is not really helpful for this engine in the case that he's got stock rods and stock bolts, which means we can't really rev it, so it doesn't really come alive until you get to sort of 7,500 RPM, and then you've got to change gear. It's a stock wiring loom that's just been slightly cut about previously, and then I've tried to make it a little bit better, but hopefully at some point we will be upgrading the wiring loom. As I said, all the brake lines and clutch lines have been replaced to braided lines, so hopefully no problems there. If you've ever taken a B series round the track, you know they suffer from oil surge problems in stock form. So this has got a Moroso extended sump with trapdoor flaps inside to reduce oil surge, but the guy who owns the car decided that wasn't enough. He wanted the AccuSump as well, which would have been completely fine on its own, but either or, both of them, it's a bit extra weight, but I suppose there's 100% security assuming everything else stays alive. So this actually runs nigh on 10 litres of oil now in total capacity, which is a lot compared to, I think the stock's 3.5 or 4 litres usually, so it's rather large. The other tuning aid on this, other than the ECU, is we've got a set of True Time AEM cam pulleys, so they'll be able to help us dial in some power. We've yet to weigh it. I think last time we weighed it, it came in at 980, but we've added a few bits and bobs since then, so I would imagine it's probably a bit over a tonne now. Transmission wise, it's got an S4C gearbox with an open diff. There is no diff in this currently. I am hoping that before it goes out on track it is going to get a differential. I'm a fan of plate types, but obviously everyone's got their own preference. It would be nice to see, even worst case, a Toulson diff going in this. They're not great, they're not very good in the slightest, if you ask me, especially if you break a shaft or something like that. It's basically useless, won't even take you home. An LSD is probably one of the things in the front of a Honda that is 100% needed, and we still haven't got in this vehicle. So hopefully we'll have a gearbox change in the near future. Power wise, it's around 230 at the flywheel, not sure what it is at the wheels. It's only been on one dyno, and that was probably a good couple of years ago, so we've yet to tune it correctly, to fine tune it. So we've got basic ignition timing in there, and we've got the fuel in roughly where we want it, but it hasn't actually been on a dyno to be tuned correctly. Especially being naturally aspirated, it does need to go on a dyno 100%. I think last time when it did go on a dyno, it was just a power run, and it made, like, say, 226. You know, different dynos, different days. So we're hoping to see at least 230 when it goes on the dyno this time, and hopefully we can actually spend some time tuning it and get it right to where its limit should be. So when it comes down to power, that 226 horsepower, that's really just coming from the cams, the light port massage, throttle bodies and the slightly higher compression. There's not really a lot going on here. The ability to rev this thing will see power, horsepower wise anyway. The ability to rev it's going to take it up to 8.5, 9,000 RPM, which is where we'll see that extra gain in horsepower and why we're only down at 230. Obviously 230 is still a hell of a lot of power, especially in a vehicle like this. That's just an overview as the Civic stands now. Hopefully we'll have some more mods coming in the future. We've got some front aero to do. If you've got any comments, just throw them down below, and hopefully we'll get this out on track and show you it on the track doing some testing. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications. You can also check us out on Facebook, the link's going to be in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.